Now to another allegation of sexual misconduct against Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken. Lindsay Menz posted a tweet last week claiming that Franken grabbed her while taking a picture with her at the Minnesota State Fair in 2010. In a statement to CNN on Sunday, Franken said he did not remember taking the photo with Menz. Also, he said he felt badly that she felt disrespected. Menz posted her allegation on Twitter the same day that Los Angeles radio news anchor Leanne Tweeden accused Franken of kissing and groping her during a 2006 USO tour in the Middle East. Franken has apologized to Tweeden. He said, though, that he will not resign. But he and several of his colleagues are calling on an investigation by the Senate Ethics Committee to, at the very least, clear the air. Joining us now to talk about it is Rebecca Weir. She's a lawyer in Washington and a former staff member for retired California Republican Congressman Gary Miller. She came forward with her own allegation that Miller asked her to twirl for him during a 2001 meeting at his district office in California. Oh, how lovely for you that must have been. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you don't mind my sarcasm.
No.
Senator Franken, are these the sort of allegations that will end up forcing him to resign?
You know, I think we still need to see where this goes. It seems that some of this behavior it occurred before he was in office and even while he was in the middle of a satire piece, certainly not the one that you just described. But we have to see where it goes. But I think, again, it shows what a pervasive problem this is, not only on Capitol Hill, but for America. Sexual harassment is something that we are grappling with. We're at a tipping point in America. And I think we have to ask the question of, you know, looking at our brothers, our sons, our husbands in a different way and coming to terms with the fact that they may have engaged in behavior that at the time they thought was innocent, but in reflection, they realized because of their power and their status, it wasn't appropriate.
So where should we draw the line, Rebecca, for who should be publicly shamed, who should lose their job, who should lose their livelihood, and who just needs, I don't know, needs a talking to or needs to apologize? Have we figured out where that line is?
Right. This is a question I've been asking myself. You know, what am I gaining by coming forward with my story? What I hope will happen? And for me, it's mostly about change of a culture that is so pervasive and institutionalized on the Hill. But I think we're talking about a continuum of behavior. You know, groping is very different than an insensitive comment made in a meeting. And, you know, different situations are going to require a different response. Certainly Roy Moore and the allegations of sexual child molestation against him, I believe, are disqualifying. Insensitive comment in a meeting, I don't know. I find myself hoping that the country will think about constructive confrontation and that women will feel empowered to confront their harassers in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had someone say something totally ridiculous or inappropriate to us, even in an office setting, by somebody who's been above us. I mean, I certainly have growing up throughout the time I've spent in the media, but yeah, there is a line that I'm trying to figure out where exactly it is. But let's talk about Senator Franken. A number of the women that used to work in his office have released a statement defending him, and it reads in part: "Many of us spent years working for Senator Franken in Minnesota and Washington. In our time working for the senator, he treated us with the utmost respect. He valued our work and our opinions and was a champion for women, both in the legislation he supported and in promoting women to leadership roles in our office." How much weight does a statement like that have?
I think it's compelling, but at the same time, it doesn't give Senator Franken a pass on what he did in these instances. Good people can do bad things. You saw with the head of the Democratic Party in Florida, who recently resigned amid allegations of sexual harassment. You know, he came forward and said, "I did this. I'm so sorry. I had a personal failing. I'm going to work on it, and for the good of the party, I'm stepping aside." you know, that's the kind of response that we would want to see from people, acknowledging that there's a problem and working to correct it going forward so that true change can happen. And in order to do that, I think we need to create the space for men and women to not feel so threatened that, you know, they're going to lose everything they've worked for, that one instance negates years of good. And again, that's where it comes back to this continuum of really understanding what kind of repercussions have to come with what kind of behavior.
Or at the very least, that they'll be taken seriously early on in their careers. Lawyer Rebecca Weir.
And other issues is Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of the great state of New York. He's a member of this Senate of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. In light of these accusations against Senator Franken, he's a member of your own party, but do you believe that he should resign?
No, I think we have to let the process play itself out in terms of the Senate ethics investigation that obviously has to proceed full steam ahead. You know, sexual assault, sexual harassment, unwanted touching or advances are not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And we all need to condemn it and make sure that we can create an environment on Capitol Hill and beyond where everyone feels comfortable in the workplace, everyone feels comfortable interacting with their elected representatives, be that in the House, the Senate, or whatever the case may be.
Right. Not much to ask at all by any means. I want to move on now to Russia. The Russia investigation, the House Judiciary Committee, of course, involved here. The president's son-in-law, senior White House advisor Jared Kushner, in an interview with CNN, his attorney says that lawmakers are playing, in his words, a gotcha game with his client after the Judiciary Committee claimed that Kushner did not disclose key documents concerning Russia. They went on to say to make a charge about who's the actual hero in this investigation. Have a listen.
If you look at the contents of these emails, he's the hero. He's the one who's saying there shouldn't be any contacts with foreign officials or foreign entities.
So I'd like you to react to that. Do you see Jared Kushner as the hero in Russia's attempts to meddle in the election?
Well, not at all, Jim. This is classic spin from Trump land where facts don't matter and hypocrisy is not a constraint to behavior. And they constantly want to convince the American people that black is white, that up is down, that the sun is actually the moon. The facts here are pretty clear. Jared Kushner, on multiple occasions, has been less than truthful when it comes to disclosing contacts between himself, the Trump campaign, and Russian operatives at the same time that they were attacking our democracy in order to artificially, in their view, place Donald Trump in the White House. That's why Jared Kushner has been compelled to amend his security clearance forms on multiple occasions in order to include meetings with Russian operatives that he somehow conveniently forgot. He does not deserve the benefit of the doubt at this particular point in time. He deserves bipartisan scrutiny, and the Senate Judiciary Committee, with leadership from the chair, Chairman Grassley, as well as Senator Feinstein, should be commended for their actions.
Now, of course, Jared Kushner is not the only one who has changed his story or not disclosed meetings. The Attorney General himself, Jeff Sessions, has revealed after some time, some past meetings and changed his statements during testimony about Russian interference. You took him to task to some degree during his appearance before the House Judiciary Committee. I want to play that for our viewers and have you react.
While serving as U.S. Attorney, you once prosecuted a young police officer who lied in a deposition. And in that speech, you decided to prosecute that young police officer, even though he corrected his testimony. Let me be clear. The Attorney General of the United States of America should not be held to a different standard than the young police officer whose life you ruined by prosecuting him for perjury.
Mr. Jeffries, nobody, not you or anyone else, should be prosecuted, not me, or accused of perjury for answering the question the way I did in this hearing.
Let me ask you this, though. This, as I said before, it's not the first time that the Attorney General has changed his story or recalled something that he didn't previously reveal in testimony where he is required by law to answer truthfully. Do you believe that the Attorney General should step down?
No, I think that the Attorney General right now needs to be truthful with the American people in every forum where he's given opportunity to explain what happened in terms of his involvement with Russian operatives at the same time that they were attacking the democracy in order to elect Donald Trump. And we have a criminal investigation that's ongoing right now. I think all of us in Washington, with the exception of Donald Trump, have confidence in Bob Mueller. He's a good man, a good American, a great lawyer, to get to the bottom of what occurred. And to the extent that the special prosecutor decides to subject Jeff Sessions to scrutiny because of his inaccuracies and possible involvement, that's to be determined moving forward. It is problematic, however, that the nation's top law enforcement official, Jeff Sessions, would seek to hold himself to a standard different than the standard that, for instance, he held Bill Clinton to when he tried to throw Bill Clinton out of office because of perjury as alleged by House Republicans during the preceding impeachment proceeding.
But isn't the standard clear for everybody? And that is that if you come before the House Judiciary Committee, if you testify on the Hill, just like if you were being interviewed by the FBI, the standard is simply you have to tell the truth, right? And there are penalties if you don't tell the truth.
Absolutely, and he should be held accountable. And ultimately, it's not within the jurisdiction of the House Judiciary Committee to make a determination as to whether his mistruths or half-truths or his intentional or perhaps selective amnesia qualifies for the level of criminal scrutiny, but there is reason to believe that something is amiss. Why have all of the president's men constantly failed to disclose their communications with Russia at a time when Russian spies were invading our democracy? That's a question that we need to get to the bottom of for the sake of our country.
Yeah, I don't recall as a new favorite answer in some of this testimony regarding Russia. I want to talk about a different topic. The president, in his crosshairs, his Twitter crosshairs this weekend, the 3 UCLA basketball players released by China, saying that he should have left him there. This after the father of one of them questioned whether the president had a role in their release. What's your reaction to the president taking such sharp aim at them?
Well, this is another example of Donald Trump continuing to flood the zone with a parade of horribles to distract the American people. We're trying to focus as Democrats on creating better jobs, better wages, and a better future for the American people. And he's tweeting about LeVar Ball. This is what he does, however, when he wants to cover over the failures of his administration. And you would think that he would be proud of the tax bill that House Republicans have just passed. But my suspicion is he doesn't want the American people to really discuss it or understand it because it's going to raise taxes on 36 million middle-class Americans, undermine Medicare, and explode the debt. Even as it relates to his foreign trip to Asia, you would think that he would want to talk about, for instance, closing the trade deficit with China, or the North Korean nuclear crisis, or the human rights abuses in the Philippines. He failed to address all of those issues when he was over there, and instead he wants the American people to be critical of 3 young men or the father of one of them for allegedly not being thankful for what he allegedly did to get him out. Again, it's the classic Trump smoke and mirrors simply designed to distract.
Congressman Jeffries, thanks very much.